Good morning, folks. It is Thursday. I am 2 days past when I was hoping to file for the inspection, and things are not going so great. Let's walk in and have a look. First, while I walk over and show you what I've been up to, I'll just say that I had a bear visit last night. Bear cub, but big enough. What they'll do is they'll have their cubs in the early spring, and then sometime around midsummer, around now, they'll run them out and force them to go find new homes. So I've got a young one prowling around, maybe thinking about this side as a home, and me not wanting that, definitely for sure. So I had to run him off. I will say, hope this doesn't offend anybody, I did put a round on the dirt about 10 feet away from him. I'm not going to shoot him. It wasn't necessary, totally unnecessary. But I was out alone. It was 1 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the night. I'm wearing only a pair of pants. I can't have him rushing me or getting fresh. So I did want to scare him off and haze him pretty well. And that sharp report is a pretty good loud noise that'll do it. I do have bear spray, but it's pretty much a one shot and it's windy here all the time. It's not super effective here. You're getting, even at night, 20, 30 mile an hour winds. Check this out. I'm standing inside and the trash can is flapping because there's a healthy breeze coming in through the window. So yeah, we're definitely not bear spray country here. And I did manage to haze him and run him off. He hasn't been back, but he did make quite a mess of the trash. Now, that being said, here's where I am. Okay, so yesterday I made a lot of progress on insulation. I've got one spot that's pretty rough. It looks gross, but it's just because I had one rafter warp on me. And so there's a rafter that's actually about 20 inches. It starts out at about 16 up to the left. I don't even have to point. You can tell which one it is. It ends up being about 20 wide over there. So I had a lot of trouble getting insulation to stay up there. What I landed on was just some foil tape, couple of staples just to hold it up. And once the drywall's up, it's all going to be held in place, so it's not a problem. It looks ugly, kind of gross, won't cause any harm. You'll never know. There aren't really any air gaps. It looks like there are, but there's so much insulation stuffed up in there that I'm not super worried about it. Besides which, you got rafter vents anyway. So I got all this stuff going, and I've got a bunch of switches wired, and then I started having all kinds of trouble. So you can see I've got my three-ways here. This is all working. You can see what the finished wall might be. We're debating whether or not we do this nickel gap shiplap or do some drywall. But other than that, the kitchen's all done, but I had some issues. You'll notice I got a couple of cover plates off here, and that's because I'm having some electrical trouble, which is very frustrating for me because that's what I'm good at. So to have the thing that you think you're good at be the thing that's a problem is a frustration. What's going on is two things. I traced this one down here to a bad neutral. I've got a loose neutral floating around back there, so I've got to pull these wires out and give them a little bit of an extra twist. That should be easy, no big deal. This switch is the main feed that runs over from the panel and then feeds the lights that are here in the hallway and also the lights that are in the kitchen and the dining room. So this one circuit here is really just a lighting circuit. It's kind of non-critical, but still, it's a thing. And I do need to get that sorted out. So I'll get this reinstalled today and get everything finalized. I probably just bumped it when I was doing the drywall. No big deal. As you can see, I've got drywall starting to run up the stairs there, and it's actually looking pretty decent. Really, my job right now today is covering wires, so I think I'm going to try to get a couple of more sheets up along this section here, just so that's not an issue. I think I can cover all the wires with 2 sheets. This blue wire that you see running left to right here is not a power wire. That's a Cat 5 or a Cat 6A network cable, so I don't have to cover that. So I'm just going to run a couple of sheets over from kind of, here on the left to about over to here, just horizontally, and that should be plenty to cover those wires. I also need to cut a couple of more sheets up here in the great room. The great room is very, very far behind, and I'll show you why next. So I had a lot of trouble yesterday, and I haven't shown you the trouble yet. So coming down the hall here, what happens is I come into the bathroom, and I get this happy mess. Now, it looks really awful, but that's because I pulled it apart. This was in and installed. This is a 20 amp receptacle. You're required to have a couple. I had initially run this on a 15, and the inspector said that's a no-no. It's batshit crazy. I mean, look, I'm on solar. I'm not running 20 amp appliances anywhere, and they're making me put 20 amp receptacles for the microwave, the fridge, and all kinds of stuff like that. My whole panel, my whole inverter can only put out 100. And I've only got a 120 amp breaker, actually a 100 amp breaker in the panel. So at the end of the day, like, it's just ridiculousness. There's like 6 places in this stupid house where you have to have a 20 amp receptacle. It just blows my mind. But in any case, I had this all run. Everything was great. And he made me rerun it. And I must have made a boo-boo because I've only got 3 things on that. I've got a feed that comes out of the panel, runs over to here. Let's go look at something. And it is this breaker here. Pops immediately. Yeah. This is the wire for the loft. If you remember in a previous video, I had 2 wires I hadn't landed. And I should have landed them earlier. But God, I am so regretting that. Make sure you land everything before any drywall. I was getting ahead of myself trying to get plumbing out of the way. And that's going to be my undoing here because I almost certainly have a staple through a wire. It's the only explanation. That wire only feeds 3 outlets. It's the outlet in that bathroom and the 2 outlets that are over here. And I've got them completely disconnected. I had those twisted together when you saw it earlier in the video just because I was testing some things. But I pulled everything completely apart, nothing connected to anything, and it still pops. So that's a big problem. I am finished in the master. There's really no good way for me to do any wiring in here. I'm pretty finished in the guest bath. No good way to do wiring in there. And yeah, this is a problem. I need that outlet to work. So you can see I actually hadn't taped or mudded here in the hallway, and I pulled some drywall out so I can kind of get back here. I was just making sure that I had fully removed anything over here. You can see there's just 1 feed coming in now and 3 lighting circuits coming out. I had just wanted to double check that I hadn't actually, misfed something off of that. The reason that's important is that these AFCIs and GFCIs will trip if you have the wrong neutral. So if you've got power going out on one hot leg and coming back on the wrong neutral, it'll pop that breaker. It'll sense the imbalance. And normal breakers would not do that. They would not trip in that circumstance. So I wanted to make sure that I had pulled all my wires out, but this wire, it runs from the master, kind of up into the back of this because the master outlet's right on the other side. So there's a jumper that runs here. Then this runs up into the ceiling, over that way a couple of inches, over this way, down, across this way, across through this header, up here, through that hallway, and all the way down that way. And this is what you do with drywall. This is what you're supposed to do. The wall drywall holds the ceiling drywall up, so you can't pull the ceiling drywall down. So yeah, I got a problem. I think what I will try to do is I do have some some UF, which is the outdoor rated cable. And I may drop a feed. I still have really good access here in this room. I've got drywall on the master wall here, but I could find a way to run something. What I could do is come up through the floor here behind the panel and then take a 20 amp feed off something, maybe kind of punch through the back of my panel here if I can fish that cable through, run some NM down through the crawl space, and then run it that way. I'll tell you one thing I can't do is get any access to the ceiling. The only other option would be to go into the loft and lift up some of the loft subfloor and pull some of those panels up. The problem is that subfloor is tongue and groove, so the panels interlock for strength, and I could cut them, but I don't want to. That's the point of tongue and groove, is to provide that stiffness for flooring. So yeah, it's a real problem, and I'm not really sure what I want to do, and I was supposed to be filing for the inspection yesterday. So welcome to my hell. I think today what I'm going to do is maybe get an hour or 2 just on drywall, just to get my head straight. I'm very frustrated about this and, don't want to make a decision in haste that I could solve another way. So I'm letting my mind kind of think about this a little bit more. I'll get a little bit more drywall run in this room. It looks really messy, but it's actually pretty accessible at this point. If I just clear some of the scraps over, and now I finally have a place where I can put it, I'll just start leaning extra drywall scraps over in the dining room. If I clear out this room here, I can get some drywall kind of run along the back of this wall and concealing those wires. And that would pretty much finish off the great room as far as what I'm going to the inspection with. Before the inspector gets here, I am going to put more insulation up, but the wires just have to be protected and inaccessible. So I think they'll let me slide, being 18 feet up in the air up there. And then I've got to get to work on the loft. So I have a lot of drywall to do up in the loft, and I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Let's see. 11, 13, 15, 17 more sheets. So definitely not making the progress that I'd hoped, but I do think that I have enough drywall to at least obscure all the wires up here. So what I'll do is I'll have, there's going to be a sheet here, maybe a half sheet there, but I got plenty of scrap. One on the other side, that's 2. A couple along the back wall, call it 5. A couple along this wall, call it, let's say, 8 to 10. And then covering up the upstairs, the top of the railing where the wires are, and that back bedroom, I think it'll be another like 5 to 8. Call it 8. So I think I have enough. At least I don't have to run out to the store. And yeah, let me get after it, and then I'll post another video seeing where I land. The goal is today, I am going to go ahead and file for the inspection anyway. I've got a guy on the roster. I still want to be showing that I'm in the system as of the end of July. And hopefully, he won't come out tomorrow. I'm hoping, my ideal world, and this is probably too much to dream of, but my ideal world is I put in for it today and he comes out Monday. Because Monday's the deadline, but if I can show that I'm on the inspector's schedule for Monday, then I think they'll let me slide on, waiting a day or two to come out for the CO. So wish us luck, folks. We're kind of in an urgent situation here, but if I can figure out this stupid wire, I think we're, probably close to having a ball game. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.